get it done. Catflap Chats. This is episode 90. Quick bit of housekeeping. Visit catflapchats.com to find our merch, our back catalogue of podcasts, our sponsors. There's hats and all sorts on there. Have a look at Catflap Chats on Twitter and Instagram. But enough about that. I'm delighted to have Tokyo 2020 Olympian Natalie Powell. How are you? How's things? What's it been like since coming back from Japan? What's going on?
Yeah, it's a weird one, I think, coming back. Oh, sorry,
That's all right.
Let me just quit that, and then I'll
Text going off already.
I forgot my WhatsApp was on. Yeah, it's been was gutted the result and the performance. Really, I think.
Can you hear me?
On there to deliver. Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, it just froze a bit as you started to talk then.
Yeah, I don't know why. Let me just move rooms. Go a bit closer to the router, maybe it'll.
It froze it again.
Go rubbish. Oh, yeah, you're froze now.
Hello.
I'm on the move again. One sec. Trying to room in the house.
That's all right.
Not my parents I am, so I don't know how good their internet is on normally.
First world problems.
Yeah. Here we go. I'll try Kirsty's room.
Lovely. I'd say I've had a tour of the house, but it's been frozen, so I haven't seen any of the rooms.
Well, this is Kirsty's room. Nice little wall. So you're not frozen since I've been frozen.
Well, I can see you now. You're moving. I can hear you.
Is this better?
Yeah, I think so.
You can, yeah?
Yeah.
You're moving too, and I can hear you also, so that's...
Hello. All good? All good?
Can you deal with it? Yeah, I'm good. Can you hear?
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay, but yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know why it would be bad, to be honest. Because it's full bar. One more try. Should we reconnect?
If you want, I can end this and then reconnect again if you want. Or if you want to jump out and then come back in.
Yeah, I'll try and do that.
I'll let you back in.
Hopefully it's better. When I went off, it told me I had to update Zoom, and there was loads of bugs. So I've just installed them and updated it. So maybe it was that rather than the internet.
I can hear you now.
It must have been that then.
I can see you now. So
Fingers crossed then, eh?
I think so. Right, let's get to it then.
Jeez.
That's all right. Don't worry. I said, how's things? What's news? What's it like being back from Tokyo? How are you? What's going on in the world?
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a strange one being back, to be honest. We've built up for so long to that one moment, and now it's suddenly over, and I didn't perform as well as I wanted to. Didn't get the result I wanted to. So I just, like right now, I just feel really deflated. I think the last couple of weeks I've been just sad and not really wanting to see anybody, and just trying to distract myself really. But yeah, just deflated really, because it didn't deliver what I was capable of. But I'm trying really hard to put it into perspective and move forward and not dwell on it too much. But you've got to let the emotions run their course a little bit. So got a couple of months of holidays now booked.
Oh, have you? Lovely. Off anywhere nice?
Well, I went to Edinburgh last weekend, going to London this weekend, and then Croatia for a couple of weeks in Holland. So. Oh,
class. Love that. So for people listening, you obviously compete in judo. Like you said, you didn't quite do what you wanted to this time, which is a shame because doing a bit of research, you've obviously a double Olympian now, won gold, silver, bronze all over the world. I was actually looking at your events. Now, this might be wrong, but I'm going to try and do you a bit of justice here, okay?
All right, thanks.
I've got 16 global events, like your Commonwealth Games, the 2 Olympics, and I would assume like World Championships and stuff like that. 4 bronze. You've had gold at the Commonwealth 2014, loads of other medals, and then 56 IJF World events and 29 medals. I've counted, so that might be wrong, but that's pretty successful. So to go to know those highs, I suppose we're going to get a bit deep quite quickly, but to know those highs, and like you just said, you're kind of almost going through a bit of a low at the moment. Like, how do you deal with that, and how do you manage that roller coaster? Because as a professional athlete, you guys get judged on your results, not necessarily all the training you've done right up until that event. The Olympics, you get judged on that one particular week, couple of days, couple of performances, yet you've been so good for so long and it just didn't happen on that particular day. Like, how do you manage that afterwards?
I think it's really hard because like in judo generally, my kind of mindset is if you lose, I just get back into training the next day and then move on and then hopefully do better at the next competition. And like with world or Europeans or just general world tour events, like we compete so often. There's always another Grand Slam or another Grand Prix just around the corner. So you've always got the next thing on the horizon. Whereas the Olympics is only every 5 years, and a lot of people would only get one chance, maybe 2, maybe 3 if you're really lucky, like in your lifetime. So it's all about being at that right place at that right moment, and it's difficult because like everybody just sees the Olympics, like the public, people it's all about the Olympics, and that's the only thing that they think has any relevance. So if you don't perform in the Olympics, like generally people think, okay, you're not that good, Whereas, in judo, for example, obviously the Olympics is the pinnacle of anyone's judo career, because it is 5 years. But actually, every year you have a World Masters and a World Championships where the actual level of the competition is higher, because the World Masters it's the top 16 in the world, and you can have 4 Japanese in there, 3 Russians, 3 French, whereas in the Olympics you're only allowed 1 from each of those countries.
Okay.
And then in the world's the same. You can have 2 from every country, whereas in the Olympics you're only allowed 1 person. So the actual competition itself is more difficult in terms of how many people you've got to get past and of that level. But the Olympics just brings that whole another set of pressures. Everybody wants that medal, and it's the 1 person from each country there. And so I think after that, because it's the one that everyone is building up to, it's so much more. It brings out so much more emotion. There's more pressure leading in. There's more emotion after. You've got more media attention. And then, I'm trying not to put so much on it. Like I feel like I've had a really successful career, and I'm really happy with my career up to the Olympics. It's just that Olympic medal is the one missing from my collections, versus the one that I want more than anything. But I'm just really trying to put it into perspective, really, because so many people, I know a lot of athletes that like dwell on that Olympic medal, like, oh, I didn't get that one. And do you know what? I know silver medalists that have just as much trauma, like they didn't win that final when they were capable of, and it can haunt them for the rest of their lives. So I really don't want to fall into that category, because there's much more life to life than sport, and it's easy to get bogged down with that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, you kind of touched on it there, like if you'd have got, say, a bronze, for example, but you've been world number one, you've had gold medals, like you said, in potentially more difficult competitions due to the competition actually in those competitions themselves.
Yeah.
Would you have been happy with the bronze still, or because it's the Olympic medal, it's the one that you don't have, or would you have been annoyed still?
No, personally, I would have been happy with an Olympic medal, regardless of what. Obviously, I was going for gold, and I fell far before that, and I lost to a girl that I've beaten before, and like on paper, I shouldn't have lost to, you know. But that's judo as well. The margins are so fine, but the difference between number one and the difference between the top 30, there's not a big difference. Like if you're slightly off, you just get caught and it's over in a split second. Like I think the team is a really good example of it. It's like a lot of people fought in the individual and beat certain players, then they fought again in the teams like 2 or 3 days later and lost to the same person. Like it's such fine margins, you know.
What was that whole Tokyo experience like then? Because I know obviously you've been to Rio as well, 2016. How was it different? COVID has obviously affected it. Not as many fans, no family. Like, but how was the experience for you? Like from start to finish, was it enjoyable, or did you prefer Rio? Like, talk me through that.
It was very different. Like I knew going in there wasn't going to be crowds, and I knew my family and friends weren't going to be there. Where in Rio, I had a lot of family and friends there. I had about maybe 8 to 10 of people like really close to me that all came out. So that was like amazing, and it made the whole experience. You know, like once you lose, like whether you win or lose, having the people closest to you to share that moment with, like, really nice. So, and I knew that I wasn't going to have that this time. And in judo, the crowd wise, it's kind of hit or miss, you know. Like in Paris, the crowd is full to the rafters and it's incredible. And then you go down and there's no one there. So you kind of both eventualities, you know. So it wasn't something that was worrying me not having the crowd there. But then when we flew into Tokyo and the whole city was deserted, that's when it hit me. I was like, oh wow, this is going to be very different to what Rio was like, you know. And then I started we're not going to get all the experiences after going out and like enjoying the whole city. So I did feel quite sad actually when we flew in, and I saw that, because it kind of hit home what it was actually going to be. But when in terms of the actual stadium, we were really lucky, because they said about out of all the stadiums, Judo was one of the ones with the most atmosphere, because it was a smaller, more intimate crowd, and all the teams, support staff and everything was able to get in. So we had like a lot of people still in the crowd from the teams. So there was atmosphere in there, which was pretty cool.
Well, do you still get to like hang around the Olympic Village and, you know, see other athletes either from GB but other sports or even other countries, and anyone like starstruck wise, and you go, class so and so? Yeah,
no, it was pretty good. We could still mix a lot with other countries, and once you're in the thing, you get tested every day. So it was pretty good in terms of that. We saw quite a lot of the British team, and Andy Murray, who my mum's a big fan, and she followed. I was under strict orders to make sure I got a picture to put up in the front room. Because last game, she got super excited because, you know, in the opening ceremony, Andy was carrying the flag out, and she, like, I was like a dot in the crowd, and he was there. So when I got home, framed was a picture of me, like a dot on my head. You couldn't even see my face, in the back of his head. She was that excited. So then when I come back and actually said I had a picture with him, well, that is like front of place from Rio now. So it was so I had to get another one for her. So she was very excited about that.
What do you get up to then on your days off and stuff when you're in there, especially in like a bubble like this, where it's like you just said, you can't go and do the things either before or after events that you probably could do normally. You know, you hear some of the parties and stories of athletes enjoy themselves, shall we say? What were you getting up to?
Well, that's the thing, see. So this time, we were shipped out like 2 days after we fought. So we had a few sneaky drinks the night after we fought. But Yeah, I don't even know if that was strictly allowed. But in terms of between our like days, just spent it walking really. It is like I did 19,000 steps on the first day, and I was like, geez, normally like 7,000 if you're lucky. So it's like, yeah, the legs were taking a good pace in. But you have to walk to dinner, walk to lunch, you have to walk everywhere. So basically, I spent my whole time walking. But we were really lucky as well because GB is like one of the only teams that has their own like lodge outside the village.
Okay.
They have like special facilities for every sport, their own gym, own food. Yeah, it's really, really like pushes the boat out. I think we're very lucky to have that. So that was kind of a little bit of an escape. We could go there every day on the bus and just get away for a little bit, have a bit of change of scenery. So that was pretty good.
Do you get like do you like are you one of those people that slams through like Netflix or podcasts, or what do you get up to in like your spare time, your downtime?
Both of them. I think I've rinsed Netflix through lockdown. Because like for the last months, I've literally been living like a bloody, I don't know, and I don't know, nun is quite the word, but like listen, like I'm in prison. I've been in Sport Wales, living in the little fort, like little, room at the back, literally just training and eating and sleeping really to stay away from COVID. So just going to the village and still being locked down and being able to walk everywhere actually felt like quite a lot of freedom, to be honest. But yeah, Netflix, podcasts. I love sport podcasts. I think like Don't Tell Me the Score and High Performance. I think I've listened to pretty much every one.
Yeah, High Performance is brilliant.
Yeah, it's really good. Don't Tell Me the Score is really along the same lines as that as well. But
I've not listened to that.
Okay, yeah, both. Really enjoyed both of them. They got me through lockdown, I think, and Netflix. Combination of the three. So,
sorry?
And puzzles. I could do logic puzzles all day.
I love puzzles.
Yeah, they keep me entertained for hours.
I love Lego as well. I like building, like I got like Lego there where I just get bored. I'm like, I'm just gonna buy that and just sit there for a couple of hours and build it and stuff. Like
I remember Connects. Do you remember Connects when you were a
kid? Yeah. I remember that.
I would spend hours doing that as well. I kind of can't do one thing at a time. I can't just watch TV. I have to either playing a game or doing a puzzle or doing something at the same time. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm like that as well. So what was the last 18 months like? Again, I suppose you touched on this just now. Like people see the Olympics and they're kind of like, "Oh, you came 7th. You must be rubbish." And I'm like, "Mate, that's 7th. That's 7 billion people. Like, you can't comprehend." And the memes go around every Olympics, like get an average, but get me in there and have a go at every single sport. And I'd fail at them all. Like I might be able to do a few of them, but I'd fail at them all. Like then you realize how hard it is. Like if I was to race against a sprinter, or you would like I'm 127k maybe, I don't know. Well, you compete at 78, don't you?
Yeah, 78.
You'd throw me around, like because you'd make me look like an idiot. Do you know what I mean? Like if people can't comprehend that.
No.
So like
it's funny though because I know what it takes to get there, and like when I was a kid, obviously what I thought you had to do and what you have to do is there's far apart. But you know when you watch it, you do just still get taken in by thinking, oh God, he only comes 7th for it. You forget what it actually takes to get there, and it's like, yeah, you have to leave no one stone unturned. Really, it's a whole nother level of dedication that people don't really realize.
Yeah, completely. I'm quite fortunate, I suppose, in my position where I've got a lot of mates who are professional sports people, so I see quite a lot of it. So I've got the one eye is a fan and one eye is like almost inside the camp with certain sports and people. So I quite get it, which is why it annoys me then on Twitter when you're like, I don't know, it could be like, I don't know, a rugby player who plays for the Cardiff Blues but hasn't played for Wales, for example, and they're like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, "Mate, he's a professional rugby player. Like, you play Division 3, or like it winds me up stuff like that. Like I don't know, baffles me a bit."
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from.
What was training like over the last 18 months then? Because you're in a contact sport, you get sweaty, you get heavy breathing, like you train with a mask on all the time, like that can't be helpful at all. Like what was it like?
It was definitely an experience. I mean, in the beginning, I was really lucky. So complete lockdown, 3.5 months, wasn't it? 4 months, whatever it was. Everyone went in standstill, but we got ahead of the game a little bit, and my coach managed to get me and my training partner into an Airbnb in Cardiff. So we isolated together, and then we did like 4 months of training in a gym down in like nearby. One of the boys has a gym, private dojo. So we just used the facilities the whole time. So once we knew the games were definitely not going ahead as planned, just threw everything to training then really. So yeah, I probably trained more in those lockdowns than I have done before, because normally we're traveling so much and you forget how many days you miss training, traveling, getting back from places. And so actually in those 4 months we worked out, I did like 2 or 3 more weeks training than I would normally do in that period, and I got a little bit towards the end of it. So it was like, yeah, it's pretty chaotic and different from what you used to. And then for the rest of the block, it just, I think I only competed twice before the games in an 18-month period, whereas normally I would compete in a year like 12 times probably.
Yeah.
That was massively reduced. And then for judo, it's a bit strange to a lot of sports. We go abroad a lot to get sparring. We don't really train. We can't get the level of training in the country. So they organise, so lots of countries train together. So a lot of European countries all come to like OTCs, we call them, around the world. And then we do a week and just fighting your competitors, which is quite, because I think
that is strange.
Yeah, because most people, like boxing, for example, they like to keep their tactics themselves and just train with themselves. And yeah, but judo's not like that at all. So it's it was massively reduced the amount of sparring we can have. But I was really lucky compared to a lot of the Brits, because my girlfriend lives in Holland. So once the lockdown was over, I was able to go over there for a few months, and they've probably got the best women's team after France in Europe. So I was really lucky to get out there and do some training with her and see my girlfriend at the same time. And I went out quite a few times over the period, which a lot of the Brits didn't have access to. So yeah, but I think you could see it in the games as well. Like the level of judo wasn't quite the same as it would have been in a normal cycle. The Ippons and stuff weren't as impressive, I would say. People's timing was a little bit off, and had the exposure to the.
That's that match fitness, I suppose. It doesn't matter how much you train. You can train as much as you want, but if you're not grappling in those real life competitions, that's a different level, surely.
Yeah. Do you know what? When I look back, like obviously going in, I was just being really positive and felt like I'd left no stone unturned. But when I actually look back at it, the only thing I feel like I was missing really was that match, like you said there. That match, it was just a bit off the ball when I got on there, which is not surprising if I only competed twice in the last 18 months. But yeah.
And this, I suppose it would have been different if you were going into a Grand Prix or something after 18 months. You'd be like, oh, actually, I feel fit. Just need to get some match practice in here. Completely different when you go in. I know you said it's only one from each country, but still, it's the best from each country. Like, it is the elite of the elite still.
No, of course. And that's the thing as well. Like, if I was just going into a Grand Prix, I probably wouldn't have been as nervous as I was. And then when you're that nervous, this is the game, isn't it? So, yeah, but not a lot I can do about it now, is there? Sadly.
You're smiling still. I've got loads I want to kind of pick up on. I didn't realise, right? Because again, I'll be honest, like I'm probably ignorant to this. Like most people that you mentioned just now, when the Olympics comes on, you see all these sports you haven't seen for ages. Like I might watch the Commonwealths, I might watch the Olympics, Paralympics, and then I might catch bits now and again, like probably more athletics though. Say if Diamond League is on the BBC, for example, or whatever. Don't see a lot then of like the combat sports, unless like I like boxing, but other than that, I wouldn't see it. I didn't realize how much you traveled. You mentioned it just now. Like I was going to try and count up the countries as well across all of your different competitions. Mate, you've been everywhere.
Yeah, we like constantly on the road. Yeah, man.
Is that enjoyable? Do you enjoy it? Like, because I love the fact that sport takes you to places you wouldn't normally go necessarily. You meet people you wouldn't normally meet and stuff like. Do you enjoy it? Do you love that, or is it tiresome?
Of it, but just before COVID hit, I was ready to stop traveling for a little bit and just have a rest.
Okay.
So what you miss for, I think, isn't it? But then COVID, like a few months of not traveling again, and I was just itching to get going again. So I do love it. It's just the actual time on the road that's the bit that's annoying. But once you get to the venue or the destination, I love it. It's just, it can be a bit tiring after a while.
Do you get there, say, I don't know, say you're competing on a weekend, for example, do you get there, say, like on a Monday and do a week there and then go to the next venue? Or is it like in 2 days gone again?
Really varied. Like if it's competition, we normally go out, depending on the time zone. So if it's 3 hour time difference, we'll go out 3 days before. Generally, that's how we work it. And then camps, we'll just go out for camps normally for a week. So camps are where you get to see a bit more of the country because you train and you often do a bit in between then. Whereas the comps, you don't really see much of the comps because you just prepare before your comp and you leave straight as you finish. So
yeah. You mentioned then just about feeling nervous, obviously different circumstances, bit of the unknown, I suppose, more than anything. How would you deal with that normally? Like, not necessarily what would you do different, but how do you keep the nerves in check at times?
I try to keep, so I've got a rigid plan for competitions and I follow the same process every time. And that gives me confidence and that helps reduce the nerves. And I often feel really nervous before the warm up. And then I just keep thinking, okay, this is a process. You've got to get through this in order to get in the place you need to be. Little like cues I say throughout the day. I like to think of seeing the challenge, not the threat. So often when I'm getting nervous, it's because I'm feeling, oh shit, what if I lose? Or what if this happens? Or but then I try to reframe it and look at it as a challenge and what I can achieve from this. Like, because you forget when you're in that pressure situation and all the nerves kick in, it's like, you've actually got nothing to lose in the situation because all you can do is gain, because everything you've done before is already in the bank. But the nerves take over and it's like, suddenly you forget all that and it's like, it's all to lose on that day when actually so I really try to reframe it and like put that perspective on it. And I often say before I step on, I'm like, what is the worst that can actually happen here? It's like, you could die. That's literally the worst and you wouldn't even know about it then. So like when I say that, suddenly I didn't say it this time actually, which maybe is where I went wrong, but normally when I do that, it just like you just get sudden release off your body. You're like, oh yeah, what am I actually worrying about? It's like, yeah, that is the worst that can happen, and which is not great for everyone around you, but for yourself, like, I mean, yeah, it does suddenly get a release from me when I say that. But I've got lots of little quotes I use throughout the day, you know, like just I like clear eyes, full heart, can't lose, like that one.
Yeah. So. Love that, class. Are you ever in the middle, right? And you just go, I wish this wasn't Judo at times because I'd knock you the fuck out.
No, because I'm rubbish at that. I'd be used to a boxing match or anything like street fighting. I'd be rubbish. I've got I'd be crap.
You can fold people up like a deck chair, but you can't fight.
Yeah, no, not fight. I'd be rubbish in MMA. I also get really bad migraines as well. So if I got hit to the head, like I'd be out straight away.
Game over.
Yeah, game over.
I'd love to know a little bit about your journey into judo as a young girl coming through and kind of how you got into it. And, you know, you've been competing for years. Like, what was that journey like? How did you get into it and why judo and not something else? And if it wasn't judo, what would you have been like? Just talk me through that a little bit.
Well, I started really young, but I was 8 and I was just fighting my dad at home all the time. And Mum was getting really annoyed because we were hitting things over in the kitchen, and I think most nights we were scrapping in the living room, wrestling or something. So she had one of the boys in school. His mum was taking him to judo, so she was like, right, she's going to judo. Let's go and take her. And I went with a few friends from school, and then they slowly dropped by the wayside, and I just kept going really. But I was like into every sport. Judo was never the one that I really enjoyed as much as the others, to be honest. Like Mum would take me around all the country, like competing regularly when I was young. So that was really, really lucky. But I was really into athletics, tennis, and netball. Those were my favorite 3. But they were all seasonal. So parts of the year. And athletics was all the way through, but I didn't really like the winter season as much as I did the summer. So that kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. So judo was kind of like that one that was there all the way through. And then
the constant.
Yeah. And then by the time I got to uni, I was about 18 then, and my knees had been playing up, so I had to drop out of athletics because I did a lot of like jumping and the like multidiscipline sort of thing. So that was kind of my favorite. If I got to choose which one I was going to go down, it would probably be that. But my knees I can't remember what it's called, tendinopathy in my knee patella. And that I was just getting too much pain with it, with all the jumping and the hurdles. So I had to stop that. And then I just fell out of love with tennis. I just fell out of love with that. And then just left with netball and judo. And I love netball. Netball was like my passion. I just loved that. But got into the Welsh team. And the first squad training of that, I was going on a netball tour with school to Australia. So I missed the first one. And then the second one, it was my last nationals in judo. And I'd never won a nationals in judo. I'd never got a national. Oh, did I get a silver? Maybe. Yeah, I'd never won it anyway. Nationals.
Yeah.
It was my last one. So netball basically said, if you don't come to the squad training and stop judo, you can't play netball at national level. So this was a big decision for me. It's the first time I'd actually made a decision, and I was like, well, I love them both, so I don't want to stop either of them. So I decided to go back to play county netball and go to the nationals, and then that was the first time I won nationals then. So
yeah,
that kind of solidified it for me that I'd made the right decision. And then, yeah, carried on for judo a few years. I didn't really enjoy it through uni, to be fair. I was very close to quitting at that period because I wasn't making it on the senior scene. I was losing first fight everywhere, and yeah, wasn't doing that great, but stuck at it and managed to get through that period. I also had a lot of weight issues at that time as well. I was fighting under 70 kilos, but I was crashing down from like 82 kilos at the worst point.
Wow, that's a big old drop, that is.
Yeah, it was not good. Like, and I've been making 70 kilos for about 4 or 5 years, but it's just ruining my life basically.
Yeah,
culture in judo and probably wrestling and MMA and any weight making sport, I think. We just got to be the lightest you can be, like, and it's better to be the lighter weight.
Yeah.
For too long, I stuck with that. But as soon as I decided to throw that out the window, went up to 78s. My weight came down. I was about 76 then, so I lost 6 kilos without even concentrating on it. And yeah, my judo improved. I was focused on my judo then. My lifestyle improved. Everything improved. Just wish I'd gone up earlier, to be honest.
Did you find this bit of a personal question, which you're free to tell me to fuck off if you want, but as a young female, especially in today's society, I know that was a few years ago, but you know, you look at young girls in today's society, like, did it, in order to like be the best, as what they would tell you is this is how you would do it, by being lighter, did you ever have like a bad relationships with food, or like what was that like to go through? Because someone listening to this now who might be going through that, like, how did you get through it, and how did you make the decision to go, sod this, I'm going up a weight instead?
Yeah, well, it was nobody that specifically said you have to stay that weight. It was kind of like just culture. And if you ever said to anyone, oh, like, what weight should I be? Oh yeah, you need to stay at 70s. Yeah, 70s. Like, it was like my coach was saying it, my mum was, everybody thought, oh yeah,
okay,
right. Like, I probably was, I should have had a lot of puppy fat on me, so I had it to lose at that point. But the problem,
but that's uni, isn't it? That's uni, and that's life, and that's drinking maybe once, twice a week, or 4 if you're a rugby player like me, and that is a bit of life.
But that was the thing, like, crashing it down. Every time I made weight, the next time I would be way heavier. I'd go up a little bit more each time.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the last time I weighed in. It was the night before I fought. The day after I fought, I'd gone from 70 kilos to 79. So I'd put 9 kilos on in the space of 48 hours.
Wow.
Like, it's just insane. And what I used to do to make it, like, I'd go to the gym every night. I'd count my calories. I would never eat over 1,000 calories a day. And I'd go on the cross trainer in the evening, and I'd make sure that I'd burn every calorie off that I'd ate that day.
See, that's not healthy, is it?
It's just absolutely ridiculous. But do you know what? Like, if I knew what I knew now then, I could have managed it in a much better way. But
yeah,
it was just, you just didn't have the knowledge. And, you know, if you make it one time doing that, you know it works. So you keep doing the same way. But I mean, as soon as I went up the weight category, completely changed my life. And I would recommend to anybody to go with the weight category that your body's telling you to go to. Don't go, like, any more than like 3-4 kilos max it's just not manageable. Your performance is affected so much. When I was 70 kilos, I wasn't focusing on judo. I wasn't focusing on getting better. All I was focusing on was making weight. And then suddenly I could actually improve my judo. So it's like 4 or 5 years I wasted, like, really.
It's constantly hungry and dehydrated, I can imagine.
Yeah. And do you know what? I didn't even realize I was dehydrated. I would always be, because I was drinking through the day. I just wouldn't drink after I trained in the evening.
Yeah.
But it's just stupid. I was just an idiot. Like, I'm not a stupid girl either, honestly. But
it's funny, those little urban myths that people still follow, and like strange that, like, and also, like, it baffles me sometimes that, you know, like, when I know, like, I understand in combat sports why you need weight categories, but in order to cut weight, a lot of what they do is just losing water, which is probably the most dangerous way of doing it, especially these extreme cuts where it's like, I don't know, a kilo a week for 10 weeks or something, or even more. Like, that's just water. It's not body fat.
No,
that's just water. And the minute they have a meal, like their body just goes back, like you said, back up to a normal weight that your body fits and feels.
Yeah.
Like, that's not safe, is it?
No, 100% not. They in judo they've started bringing this. So you weigh in the night before, and they bring in a 5% allowance in the morning. So you have to be within 5% before you fight. So that's trying to combat it a little bit. But yeah, I don't really know what the answer is unless you weigh people before they start. But
I don't know. I suppose, like you've done, go to more natural weights, your performance all of a sudden, it's no coincidence, your performance increases, you feel better, you feel happier, you're not as hungry, your calorie counting less, you focus more on performance rather than aesthetics, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it really is.
So from there then, like, what was that like through the Welsh camps, and then when was the Commonwealth Games after that then? Because that was
so
a couple of years.
2014 the Commonwealth was, so
yeah,
I must have been about, I don't even know how old I was then. 2014, I must have been 24 I think then. So that would be, I finished uni in 2015, so that would have been in my uni time. But just before 2014, I had a new coach come on board with us, Darren Warner, and he completely transformed the way I saw sport. He basically told me I need to sort my diet out for starters in the beginning, and then I'd have pudding after every meal, and I was like, right, you've got to stop pudding after every meal, and that made me feel, oh God, am I going to be able to do this? Like, I was like, because I really respected him and like had him on a pedestal, so I was like, oh shit, I'm going to have to actually do everything he says. So there was no puddings, but I knew that I couldn't go half measure, so I was like, there's no chocolate, no crisps. I had to like go completely all in. So we did like 6 months of just completely changing my diet, and that was the bit that really kicked me off, because I noticed that I'd been getting like good results in that period from when I'd gone up to 78, but the top 12 girls in the world, I looked at them, and the difference between them and me was their physique. In my opinion, I thought that I was never going to get there unless I really sorted out my diet and I looked like they did, like they were shredded with abs, and I'm still not got abs, but they were in the shape that I was.
I think they're overrated, mate.
So we took 6 months. And all I did really was like change my diet, so I had like 5 protein intakes a day. We did lots of hypertrophy and just stopped eating shit really. And I went from 76 kilos with 29% body fat down to 76 kilos with 18.5% body fat. So completely, that bit really transformed my body shape really when he came in, and he just brought in a lot of new positive energy and new ideas for training. And when I started working with him, I just seemed to be getting a new personal best every few months really.
What's that? You're still in uni and you go into a Commonwealth Games, like, what's the feeling when you find out about that and then you actually go and do it? Because at uni, I'd say you're a bit more mature than me, but in uni, like, there was no way I'd have appreciated that or understood the magnitude of that experience. And then to go and win a gold at the Commonwealth Games, like, as a young woman, like, what did it feel like? What was it like? What were the emotions?
It was a weird one really, because like, I'm coming from Wales, that's kind of the pinnacle of sport. When we're growing up, everybody wants Commonwealth Games and become Commonwealth champion. So I was thinking about that more as a kid than I was the Olympics, which is weird because I think most people would think at the highest level really. Because it seems Commonwealth. So that's always been a dream of mine to do that. And I knew it was going to be tough because obviously the Olympic silver medalist from London was in my weight category, and it was going to be between me and her really, because we were both competing for the Olympics in that cycle as well. Beating her was the icing on the cake really, because she'd gone to London instead of me, and then this is the first time we got to fight was at the Commonwealths. It was just incredible really. It's everything I've been working for, and in that moment it was everything I wanted. And on the podium, I was super happy and super proud, and I look back and I'm really proud of it. But after it, I wasn't as content, like in my personal life and stuff. I wasn't super happy. There was a lot going on that I wasn't like facing, and yeah, I just felt a bit empty after it, really. After all the razzmatazz of the actual day had left, yeah, I didn't. Yeah, it didn't bring anything more to my life or make me any happier in my day-to-day life. It's something I look back on and I'm really proud of, but yeah, I wasn't actually happy in my general life then. So
yeah,
the actual day in terms of like winning, and then my family and my mum and dad and my sisters and everyone being there, that was lush. But yeah, it didn't really complete me or fulfill me or make me super happy after.
it's a shame that, like, on how maybe you have and I've missed it, but I can't see that you've been to any of the other Commonwealth Games. I want to ask why.
So the home nation gets to pick which sports are in the Commonwealth, and the last time it was in Manchester. So from now on, it's going to be in every Commonwealth Games. It's become a core sport, but it wasn't a core sport last time. England selected. No, Glasgow. Sorry, selected it as a sport.
Oh, okay, I've got you. Yeah. That makes sense. So you got Birmingham. Is it next year, Birmingham?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. I saw straight afterwards you said that you were going to do it. Now you've had a bit of time to reflect. Are you still hoping to compete there?
Yeah, I think so. I just spoke to my coach earlier today, actually, for the first time. Well, I spoke to him in person since the games.
Yeah.
And we're both a bit like, oh, we don't know exactly where we're going to go now, but we're going to have a couple of months holiday and. But I definitely see myself staying on for another year. I'm hoping to maybe do a Europeans or Worlds in the Commonwealths.
Yeah.
I think I can definitely do the Commonwealths because it's Welsh led, but the Europeans is you have to go through Britain, and I don't know what their policy is going to be because the program's centralised at the moment, and they're trying. Well, this cycle they've been trying to make sure that nobody outside the centre goes anywhere. They kind of just want to keep it in house. So wait and see what their policy is for next cycle. So it's a bit rubbish, really, if they run with that again, because I don't want to go there. So it doesn't really give me any unless they open it up to people that aren't in the centre.
Yeah, and would you, if they opened it up to people outside that, like, would you consider Paris? Do you reckon? Say the Commonwealth Games goes well, you medal there. Paris is only a couple of years away because this has obviously been delayed. It's a much shorter window.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you could?
It's definitely on the card. Yeah, it's definitely an option. If British Judo give me the route, like make it possible without being there, it's definitely an option, I think.
I feel like it'd be like, I don't know what age judo athletes look to retire or stop competing at that level, but it'd be class for you to, like, it seems that you've had not conflict, that's probably the wrong word, but there's been certain struggles in your life and you've still managed to overcome them, and it'd be nice to get that medal, and or it would all be worth it almost, you know?
Yeah, no, it would. I would really like to go. Yeah, I would like if they're able to support me for the next cycle. I think I'm leaning more towards that at the moment. Because it has been an incredible journey, and like you said, there's been lots of ups and downs and challenges along the way. So it would be really, really nice to end it with a medal in Paris. But we'll have to wait and see, I think.
It'll be class. I'll be watching. What's like a couple of months off now? Like, what mentally, like as much as physically, does it wear you out, like these cycles and this training and like getting yourself up now? You've had a couple of months off now. Like, how do you break the cycle of going? I can imagine you will train through that couple of months because you're an elite level athlete, but you know, how do you snap out of that? Oh, I can't have a fry up this morning. Like, today's day one, I've got to have granola, fruit, whatever. Like, how do you get it back into that routine?
I'm really quite all or nothing though, so it's like, once I'm in, and I'm on it then. But at the moment, after Olympics, the amount of stress and energy that goes into it, you don't quite realise how stressed you are and how exhausted you are. Like the last 2 weeks, I've slept like 12 hours every night, like completely fast. And I've literally not done any exercise since. So that's just purely from So, and I'm sure that'll go on for another couple of weeks yet, because I don't feel full of energy yet. And I don't do any exercise now. I have no desire to do any exercise at the moment whatsoever. But I remember after Rio, like it took a couple of months for me to get energized again and like ready for life again. And then I think I went back mid-November, and then I had a great 2017, like performance-wise. So yeah, I think taking the time is really important. I think going back too soon will probably end up biting you in the bum next cycle, because you're going to need the rest at some point. And obviously after 5 years as well, there's been no 5 years, which is obviously longer than normal as well. So yeah, it's easy to just get, because you lose and then you're like, oh, I've got to get back on, I've got to train. But actually what you need more than anything is just let your body repair and your mind repair and get your fuel back in, really.
Yeah, I love that you listen to your body, because I don't think enough people do. And not necessarily your body, can be like, mentally, physically, whatever it is. But I love that, because I do know some people that, they might have lost the game, for example, have a few beers that night, but the next morning they're back in the gym like, oh, we're going again. So I'm like, mate, have a day off. Like, it's not going to kill you. And like, it's easy for me to say, I'm not a professional athlete. I never will be. And I never was close. So although I see it, I physically don't put myself through getting to that level. But I love the fact that you listen to your body and do that.
Yeah. But I learned the hard way though as well. Like, I mean, in the Rio cycle, I'd never had a holiday or really had a day off. But as you get older as well, your body can't do what it used to either, like like even in the last 2 years now, I've had like 4 injuries that have put me out for quite a period and had to really come back from them. It's just your limits aren't quite what they were when you were younger, so you have to change things like that, I think.
Yeah, completely. I want to just before we and I'm taking a bit of time just before we shoot off. It's been quite well publicised. You've mentioned it, obviously, having a girlfriend, living in Holland, and the games were seen as the most inclusive games. The Rainbow Games, I think it was 174 athletes, I think, were openly had come out. Like, do you ever, one, because potentially you're a female, or two, because you're not a straight female, do you ever like face anything in like social media or online or anything like that at all? Because I know that some athletes do struggle with that sometimes, and that's an added pressure which shouldn't be, but it's been quite a big thing made about these games. But is there ever been anything there?
No, I've been really lucky. I mean, touch wood, I've never had anything bad said to me, in via social media or in person, like from when I come out, well, about 3.5 years ago now, 4 years. But before coming out, they was eating me up. I couldn't I really didn't want to be gay or come out, so I think culture in general and society makes you feel like it's not normal, or it's not acceptable. So I definitely felt all those pressures before I came out, but since I've come out, I've been really fortunate in the way I've been treated. But like I do read things online about how many countries are still being gay isn't acceptable in those countries. And in 12 countries, I've had a meeting recently, and I was just shocked at the amount of people could actually still get killed for being gay in certain countries. We're just so, like, I feel so lucky to be born in Britain, but obviously there's still a way to go. But from my personal experience, I've been very lucky. But I know I'm fortunate really with the people, the family, and just by luck really.
Is it more accepted with your girlfriend living in Holland? Obviously, you've got a good insight into like over in Europe. Is it widely more accepted over there than it is over here?
I think, from my experience, Holland and the UK seem pretty forward. I would say I think they're probably two of the most forward countries in the world.
Okay.
In terms of gay rights and how you feel when you're in those countries. I know. When I go to places like Abu Dhabi or Russia, I am. I'm a bit apprehensive when I just feel like, because I'm in the sports bubble, you feel a bit protected. But I would be on edge a little bit of going there. Like with me and Sandy, if we were going to go on holiday, we definitely wouldn't go to countries like that, just because you wouldn't feel safe.
No, I know what you mean. And like, just general troll wise, you ever had to put up with anything like that at all? And if so, like, how do you deal with that? Do you bite back, or do you just laugh at them or block them? Like, how do you deal with that?
I feel really lucky. I've never had a troll. Nobody's ever said anything back to me.
Class.
Yeah. Well, probably now. Now you said that, I'll probably.
Oh, mate, fuck him. I got trolled the other day. Like, I laugh. Fuck him, innit? Who cares?
It's just crazy, isn't it? I'm not really a big fan of social media. I feel like the negative is starting to outweigh the positive.
Yeah.
So, I do scroll through it a lot more than I should, but I tend not to post too much on there, really.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about? You want to say? I mean, I suppose these are always probably quite tough. I do genuinely appreciate it, because I can imagine it's quite tough coming off the back of Tokyo, not doing what you know you could have done.
Yeah.
And so you're putting on a brave face, but you've been quite honest about how you feel and certain emotions and stuff. So I do appreciate it.
No problem at all. Yeah, it's sometimes good to talk about it, isn't it? Though, kind of just puts it out there, really, and helps you move on, I suppose.
I love the mindset. I'm quite a mindset guy. I love listening to elite level operators about how they deal with certain things in different ways. And I feel like there's always like a little lesson in each one of these. A bit of like therapy, I suppose, to me. Like, what can I take from you now that I can like take into my life, and like hopefully like the listener, you know, whoever that is, gets a little bit of that as well. So I appreciate.
I think the biggest thing for me is like positively reframing everything, though. Like everything that goes bad, I got it from my coach, but he just never sees bad in anything. It's like every situation is always taking us in a positive direction, even if it's something like COVID. But I think that's the one thing that gets me through everything, really, is just positively reframing every situation, finding the good in it.
Do you reckon, though, away from like you when he's on his own or whatever, you'll just go, for fuck's sake, and then it's done?
Possibly, but I don't know. He is incredibly positive.
Yeah, but no one can be that positive 24/7. I'm sorry. Like, I try to be, but I get tested to the fucking max sometimes, and I've just got to go. Ugh. And then you go, right, done, wicked. How do we solve it?
Yeah, no, you're right. I think this last 18 months, it's definitely like pushed that tolerance.
Definitely. Hey, look, thank you so much for coming on.
No problem at all. It's been a pleasure.
Where can people find you? So your socials, I know you said you don't post much, but just if they want to see a bit more about what you've been up to, what you're up to, follow your journey, hopefully, if you do it, into the Commonwealths next year and maybe beyond, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and Natalie P_90 is mine.
Perfect. Well, we'll obviously tag you in. This will be out Monday. So
awesome.
Thank you so much. Double Olympian, former world number one, mental amount of medals. Like I said, like 30 plus medals. So your career's been unbelievable so far, but I feel there's still a chapter or two to write, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for having me on. Fingers crossed, Dave.
No worries. Look, you'll be on again after Paris with a gold medal. I can tell. Like, all right, we'll have you back.
Alrighty, awesome.
You take care. Thank you so much.
You and you.
Cheers, now. Take care. Bye.